Hi, this is homework for problem 10. So we're going to do a solution for the basic Kafka producers and consumers. So first we're going to create a topic 10 with 3 partitions, and I've already created this topic named problem 10 using this command right here. So we have the partition 3 and then there's a topic 10. So then just to verify that this topic already exists in our Kafka server, let's run this console tool from Kafka. So right here it's the topic already exists. Now let's create the producer application. So it will generate the UUID, timestamp, user URL, then the user ID. So we only have so this is the source code for the producer. These are the configurations, and then this will be the output to the topic. This will be the message that will be sent to the topic. We just generated 3 random users right here. This is the range. So now let's run this application. So just to note that we only generate 30 messages or 30 events that will be sent out to the topic. Okay, first let's start a producer or the consumer using the built-in Kafka command line tool. We're just gonna use this so that we'll just get the latest data that are coming in from Kafka. So this command will poll for messages that are coming in from the producer. So far right now we don't see any message yet. So let's start our producer application. Right here. So we have our producer class as our entry point. So when we run this, so we should be able to see the output here using the consumer command line tool from Kafka. So we have the UUID, the timestamp, the URL, and then the user ID. So this is the logging that was generated from the producer. Let's go on the top. So we see that the distribution of the partition are equal. So we have 3 partitions, 1, 0, 2. Now for the next requirement is we need to verify yes this was already completed. So now let's create a consumer which will get the messages from the topic. So it should print out it should also print out the partition number. So it receives all the 3 partitions, they are equally distributed. Okay, let's run this. So this is the command. So this is first I will show the source code right here. So this is a simple code. So we have the group is P10 consumers, and then the topic that will consume will be problem 10. These are the configurations, and then this is it will poll for messages coming from Kafka from the topic. So it will send out. It will also print out the partition. So let's run this as a right here. So it's already receiving the data that we created earlier. So it's still polling the data. So let's see, we have the partitions here. So let's just send out another set of events. So when we run this again, it consumed the data. So this is from our consumer application. So it generated the key we created, just the UUID, and then the value. These are the composition of the values. So we have the UUID again, and then the timestamp, the URL, the user, and the partition was also printed out. So we can see that the distribution of the events are equal in the three partitions right here. So then our next requirement is we send out the key partition based on the user ID. So we must the events must be sent out to each partition based on the user ID. So we have that in the source code right here in our producer. I will just have to modify this few lines of code. So we have the partition. So this is the partition code right here. Partition by user. So it will also print out the partition, so I think we don't need this to be printed out again. We just use the one that we have earlier. And then this is the source code for the partition. So if it's user 0, it will go to this partition, user 1, user 2. So this is self-explanatory. And then it will be passed on to this producer record function, which is another signature of the producer record constructor. So earlier we didn't pass this partition, so now we're gonna pass this parameter, so that the distribution of the events will be based on the user ID in each partition. So now let me compile this again and send this out to the production server. Still compiling. So I will just send out that update to our production server. That's it. Again, we're going to run the producer. But first, let's just run the consumer so that it will poll. So it's now running and it's waiting for input from the topic. Once we run the topic, the producer, it will output the message right away. So right there. So it receives the message from the producer to the consumer. So as we can see right here, that the user 2 will go to partition 2, the user 1 will go to partition 1, and then the user 0 will go to partition 0. So the distribution of it will be based on the user ID. So that's it for this requirement